There we go. It works better when you turn it on. Good evening. How's everyone? I am Ray Trapp, Vice President of Strategic Engagement for the Research Triangle Foundation. It is a pleasure to be here this evening with you all. So we'll get right into it. We'll give each panelist a 2-minute opportunity to introduce themselves and their platform. And I'll start with my right. We'll go with you, Councilman Rao.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here today, and I want to thank the chair for hosting this candidate forum, all candidates running all the engaged citizens here. My name is Steve Brown. I served for the past decade as a council member at large for Town of Boycott, and in 2015-17, I served as mayor pro tem. It's one of the highest times of my life to represent a city, the Town of Boycott, which recently got ranked for All-American City, one of 10 in the United States by the National City. And I'm proud of that record of investing in transportation to the tune of $300 million in our roads, with the criminal bypass, supporting the Wilson Parker Road, $15 million worth of investment in our parks. I've been a leader on this council in Swansea with technology and innovation and jobs, and I can't get better to celebrate being on the city in the town of Warsaw, where we're home to so many immigrants all around the world. And we live the world in Warsaw. And so I'm proud to be here today, and I look forward to continuing to do the good volume of work. I'm going to prove America being a next job leader, and I hope I can pull you this year for all of you in a great time. Thank you very much.
You can pass it.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for hosting this forum on Unity Health and Mental Construction for sponsoring and great track from my friend and big user. I'm here to call and proud to be the greatest place to live in our planet and the 10th best place to live in the entire United States. Together, we've accomplished a lot in these past 4 years. During the tour, COVID-19 pandemic, we connected our community, helped our residents and state, and supported each other. This led to our recognition as an all-America city. I'm the president of the Boyd County Nurses Association, as communities in our region work together to protect health and safety. We have completed the improvement extension. The Warsaw Parkway road widening is underway. We'll soon include pedestrian and bicycle safety enhancements. We are acquiring land for new parks. We've improved public safety, expanded the aquatics and fitness center, and we'll soon be getting new schools. We've taken the first real steps in realizing our vision for a new town center. There is always more to be done. Morrisville is growing, and that presents challenges. We have the opportunity to become a leader in environmental protection and sustainability. We can improve our transportation network for cars, bicycles, and pedestrians. That's why I'm running to continue to lead Morrisville. I'm proud that we're the 10th best place to live in America, and I want to continue that progress until we're #1. I'm Mayor TJ Pauley. My website is www.mayortj.com. My social media handles all share the same handle, which is @MSVMayorTJ. I look forward to tonight's discussion.
Hello, I'm Patty Chang. I've lived in Morrisville for 13 years. My family is from Hsinchu, Taiwan. That's a sister city of Cary, North Carolina, if you didn't know. We immigrated to Durham, North Carolina, where I grew up attending public schools for 12 years in nearby Durham County. I served on the Morrisville Citizens Budget Performance Assessment Panel, or the Budget Committee, between 2011 and 2014. During that time, Morrisville was awarded a AAA bond rating for financial management. I served on the Board of Adjustment from 2017 and as Vice Chair of the Board of Adjustment in 2020. I've also served as the treasurer of my Carpenter Park Single Family Homeowners Association. I have considerable experience in positions responsible for handling funds judiciously and for effective money management and financial reporting. I'm a graduate of NC State University in Industrial Engineering. I'm certified by the North Carolina Board of Professional Engineers and land surveyors in engineering fundamentals. I worked as a graduate teaching assistant in engineering economic analysis while earning my master's degree at Virginia Tech. I currently work as an IT business analyst with the North Carolina Department of Revenue. Morrisville Town Council needs a new voice with a fresh perspective. Once elected to Town Council, I will ask the hard questions to ensure that our tax dollars are well spent on projects that are sound and well vetted. I'm Patty King, and I will engineer positive change.
I'm Donna Fender, and I am currently on the Morrisville Town Council representing District 2. I ran for the first time 2 years ago for this seat, and I have been greatly honored and humbled to serve the residents of Morrisville and our business community. And I'm looking forward to another 4 years. I'm running this time around, fortunately, unopposed. So, very less stressful this go around. I have the same platform as I did 2 years ago, because we still have a lot of work to do. And 4 issues, sustainability and the environment, roads and transportation, schools, and workforce housing. While they're all equally important, my main passion is the environment, and we've made a lot of headway in the last 2 years. We have installed the town's first solar panel array. You may have seen it as you drive down Town Hall Drive. You can look to the left, and it's right there on top of Fire Station number 1. We could not have picked a better place. We also hired the town's first sustainability coordinator, which is very exciting. But we still have a lot of work to do. And for the next session, my first order of business right after Election Day is start pushing to update the tree preservation ordinances in our UDO. I'm laughing because our town manager is in the audience and with the assistant town manager. But I would like to see us benchmark our tree preservation ordinances with the surrounding municipalities, and I think we will find that we have a lot of improvement that we can do. So I'm happy to be here tonight. I'm looking forward to a lively discussion, and thank you all for being here with us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Spraggins Johnson, and I'm seeking your vote on November 2nd for the Morrisville Town Council District 4 seat. I came to Morrisville in 2004 with my husband and 2 children. Both of them attended public schools in Wake County, and both of them are graduates from Panther Creek High School. Go Catamounts! I had the honor of serving on the Morrisville Public Safety Advisory Committee and the Savannah HOA. I served my first term in the Morrisville Town Council in 2013. My issues then were better roads, more parks, sustainability, and North Carolina history. Those same issues resonate with me today, and I'm passionate about carrying them forward. What is unique about me is that I'm really passionate about schools and education. And on town council, I quickly realized that the way to influence better schools for our students and families was to serve at the county level. So in 2016, I filed to serve in a new district, District B, of the Wake County Commissioners. I was successful in the primary, but the general election did not happen because there was a lawsuit which dissolved the district. But there's always good that comes from putting yourself out there, and I made friendships and relationships with the Wake County Commissioners, the Wake County School Board, and state leaders. And those same individuals serve today. What I did was raise the voice of Morrisville and impress upon them the needs of our families and students, and I do that every day. In 2017, I was fortunate to get reelected, and I served as the mayor pro tem of the town from 2017 to 2019. I served as Morrisville delegate, financial council of governments. I was alternate for a chemical organization which delegates road funding, and I also served on the executive board for the good stewards for your tax dollars as well as the projects to come. Thank you, and thank you, Vicki, on November 2nd.
Good evening, I'm Mayor Pro Tem Liz Johnson, and first I want to thank the Morrisville Chamber of Commerce and all those that had a hand in putting this event on tonight. Thank you. To those in the audience and those that are watching at home, thank you as well. I appreciate you being informed and engaged always. My husband and I have lived here in Morrisville for 25 years. We've raised our 2 girls here, and we are all proud to call Morrisville home. I've had 2 distinct careers in my lifetime, first as an educator teaching 2nd grade, and then at IBM as a software developer and systems engineer. These careers have given me skills that I use every day, the ability to share knowledge, empower others, the ability to problem solve, and the ability to connect people with the resources they need, skills I use every day to get content, and skills I will use. For 22 years, you've entrusted me with your vote to serve on council. This year, I'm asking you respectfully to vote for me, Liz Johnson, for mayor. I'm running for mayor this year because I have the knowledge, I have the leadership skills, and I have the experience to help lead our council as we address the challenges and, more importantly, the opportunities ahead for Morrisville and for our residents. There are values that guide me in the work that I do. They are truth, transparency, and trust. It happens more often than I can even count that a resident will reach out to me and start the conversation by saying, Liz, I'm calling you because I trust you. I value that trust. That is sacred to me. I'm also a collaborative leader. I strive to make sure to include all our citizens and all their voices in the policies and the decisions that we make here in the town of Morrisville. I'm hoping that we'll address the issues and the questions that are on your mind tonight. If not, you can find me through LizJohnson.org, and I look forward to talking with you in the days ahead to answer your questions. And again, I respectfully ask you to vote for me, Liz Johnson, to be the mayor of Morrisville.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Summons. My formal name is James, but I go by Jim. I'll be over that in a second. I'd like to thank the Morrisville Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event this evening, as well as the 85 Grade Level Sorority. Thank you so very much. This is my first entrance into an elected office. I started out born in Yongsan, South Korea. My family moved to the United States when I was 4 years old. And through our travels, we eventually made it to Illinois, where I joined the Marine Corps. Served honorably for 22 years as a Marine. I started out as a Marine firefighter when I was enlisted. And when I became a mission, I became a logistician. And as a logistician in the Marine Corps, my primary responsibility was the infrastructure of the base. I helped redesign the entire transportation network for Camp Lejeune as it stands today. I also did the planning and the preparation for hurricane preparedness for the entire base of Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, and we went through 7 hurricanes successfully. I also helped mentor the new Marines coming in as I was selected to be the company commander for the largest company of Marines in the Marine Corps, 650 Marines. An average company is about 120. So that after the military, we moved here back to North Carolina. This is what we call home. We spent 17 years in Camp Lejeune. Moved back here after 2 tours of duty in Iraq, as well as 1 in Djibouti, Africa. Those are all combat tours. And we moved here, and I started a job with the Department of, the state of North Carolina as a public servant. Throughout my time here, I immediately got involved in my community, taking part on the HOA board for the Kicks Creek neighborhood, as well as taking an active role on the board of directors for the Progress Swing Association. My focus has always been educating and mentoring our youth. I've coached youth sports for 28 years in every sport from football to cheerleading. So I coached my daughters in cheerleading, did all the partner has been on the sidelines along with them. So I continued, and I wanted to continue to help my neighborhood, help my community, help my town. So I decided to run for town council member at large in the town of Morrisville, one of the greatest cities in America. In fact, it's already in the top 10. And I want to continue the legacy and keep it growing, keep it to be the best. And that's why I decided to run for town council. Thank you very much for coming out tonight and giving me the opportunity to speak with you.
You can keep that one. So we're going to stay right here, and we're also going to stay right here with you to answer this first question. Housing affordability and housing availability is a problem all across the triangle. Most of the folks that work in Morrisville live outside of Morrisville. How would you address that issue? And how would you make sure that housing affordability doesn't become an issue for Morrisville?
Thank you very much, Ray, for that question. Housing affordability has always been a question. In fact, it's a big question right now in all of Wake County. Wake County is growing at an exponential rate for when I moved here in 2014, we've already grown by approximately 200,000 people in all of Wake County. And that's one of the things that really is endearing to everyone who wants to move in and is not living in Morrisville or wants to work in Morrisville. During my time in the military, there was one thing that they had was called COLA, the cost of living allowance. And that's what they afforded military members and federal service workers to offset the cost of the rising housing market in and around military bases. In fact, President Biden just recently announced that he's also increasing the COLA, the cost of living allowance, for Social Security recipients by 5.6%. That's something that we need to introduce into our town to encourage the town employees to want to live in the place they work, to allow them to play in the place they work. So that's one of the things that I would like to introduce to the town, maybe by offsetting some of the money that comes to developers to help them develop an affordable housing fund to help our town employees live where they work. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, you got it. Same question.
I'm going to ask a procedural question for a minute. Is there no time limit on the answers?
We're going to give you enough time to answer succinctly.
Okay. Okay, so affordability, affordable housing, workforce housing, very important issue. I would say right off the bat, number one, no one entity is going to be able to solve this alone. This is going to require relationships with organizations and neighboring towns and municipal governments, county governments, state government. It's going to take a lot of entities to solve the problem. That's number one. Having said that, there are steps that town of Morrisville has taken, and I know my colleagues here want to talk about our affordable housing study, and I won't answer all of it, or I won't talk about it all, but we have an affordable housing study that has given us some options, and council has indicated what option they would like to work on. It's going to cost some money, though. Funding needs to be found to help move forward on the affordable housing solutions that came out of our study. Also, having said that, I'm not waiting for that, and the majority of this council has not waited for that. We have recently approved projects that are bringing today workforce housing options here to the town of Morrisville. The first workforce housing options, affordable housing options to the town of Morrisville, and I'm proud of that. That decision did not come lightly, and it came after balancing a lot of goals that we have here in town. But I'm proud that 4 of us are bringing those workforce housing options here. The other thing that we need to think about when we talk about affordable housing is that it is included across town, that it is not in one area alone, that it is available to all and close to the jobs that people need as well. So I think it's an issue that's on Jimmy, it's on top of mind for everybody in all municipalities and will be now, I'm sure, for a while.
Okay. And everybody can, okay, it's still working? Okay, good. I was honored to serve on the 2017 Wake County Affordable Housing Steering Committee, which published a report after taking a lot of information in across the county about ways that we could increase housing stock for low-income, medium-income families. There are many partners that we have across the county to help with building projects as well as supportive services. I was one of 2 elected officials that served on that committee of 30 individuals, and it was amazing to hear how fortunate Morrisville is, but yet Morrisville at that time did not have any programs in place. We simply had existing affordable housing, and those were going away every day when a property was sold and the farm or the home would be redeveloped. So in order for Morrisville to embrace affordable challenges, we saw that there was a gap, actually, in the affordable housing equation in Wake County. The workforce housing population, which is between 60 to 80% area median income, did not have a supportive program at that time. And that's one of the areas where we find our teachers, our first responders, and working families. And we wanted to help our staff, if they desired, to live in the town. So we had the study commissioned, as Mayor Pro Tem Johnson said, and we identified a way to have down payment assistance, but it will require funding in the next budget cycle in order to take effect. How we do that is to be determined. We have to have a lot of discussion, and most importantly, we need your input as well. So what we would like to do going forward is to have development offer affordable units. We've had 3 projects where there has been between 5 and 7% of units being offered below market rate if there is an income qualification, and that was voluntary. So that can continue, but we'd like to look at ways of structuring that. So I'm very excited about the promise of tomorrow with our affordable housing policy and the challenges that our partners are ready to face with us. Thank you.
Are we still going forward with the same question?
Same question.
All right.
Housing affordability.
All right, well, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson and Councilmember Scoggins Johnson know a lot more about this subject than I do. Right before I got on the town council 2 years ago was when the town council approved the affordable housing plan that was put together by the consultant CZP. It was CZB. So where I land on this is I think we need to actually implement the recommendations that are in that plan, particularly the down payment assistance and the shared equity. You know, what we have implemented so far in the town with workforce housing are apartments. I think we need to focus on promoting home ownership amongst the workforce housing, sorry, not workforce housing, amongst our workforce, particularly our first responders and our teachers. I think when you promote home ownership, you are also promoting people staying in the community and investing in the community and giving back to the community rather than apartments where, I mean, I've lived in apartments too, and I lived in Grace Park Apartments while I was building my house in Kitts Creek, but it was temporary. And fortunately, I did stay in Morrisville in a house, and I've been here 9 years last month. So it is affordable housing, workforce housing. It is a big issue, and not one There's not one solution. It's multiple tools are going to have to come out of that toolbox to tackle it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Same question. Affordable housing.
Okay, well, it's good to hear that Morrisville has an affordable housing plan, since we talk about it quite a bit. But let's see how many affordable housing units we could really provide to the public. Now, given our location at the heart of the Triangle, we have great demand for housing, and in the current housing market, it's not likely apartment or home prices will decline. Morrisville has done well to encourage new developments to provide up to 7% of their units that meet affordable housing criteria. But I would suggest we look into federal housing grants and partner with organizations like DHIC to develop and manage affordable housing. What I would do to make the most impact to keep housing in Morrisville affordable is to keep the property tax low. To encourage residents to stay in Morrisville long-term, we can make sure that our property tax rate is competitive with that of Cary's and other communities. Keeping Morrisville property tax rate low will help to make Morrisville a more affordable place to live.
Mr. Mayor, same question.
Thank you, sir. So I would support legislation to enable municipalities to require developers to provide a certain percentage of affordable housing for larger scale new residential developments. Thank you, Patty. I believe that development decisions are best made at the local level, and municipalities should have the authority to ensure that sufficient inventory of affordable housing is available. So we shouldn't have to force them to volunteer. It should be mandatory from the state level. I encourage a well-balanced housing inventory to meet the needs of all our current and future residents, especially our outstanding municipal employees and others who work in Morrisville. And that must include a sufficient affordable housing component. This is especially important in our current environment of high growth and rapid housing price increases. I support targeted density that provides affordable housing. I oppose redevelopment that would result in a net loss of existing affordable housing. So the main point here is that I have consistently advocated on multiple occasions to actually dedicate staff time and funding towards actually implementing our adopted affordable housing plan. As was noted, it's 2 years old. I know our residents are disappointed when government expends time and energy to study a problem, come up with a solution, but then fail to fund. I commit to support and advocate implementing our plan rather than allowing it to gather dust on a shelf.
Thank you. So I want to thank, first of all, Councilmember Scroggins Johnson for her strong leadership on this issue. I've learned a lot from her. She's a very close friend as well. The first thing I want to say is that this is an economic development issue because 10% of all public companies are headquartered in Morrisville. And I've been proud to be a part of the team that's brought in companies like Microsoft, Invitae, which is investing in the old outlet mall, The Stitch. We had the news of Apple, we're the home to Syneos Health. And we've had about 55,000 people right now working in Morrisville, but many more to come. But we need places for them to live. And that's why affordable housing is very important. Mayor Steve Adler of Austin warned Governor Cooper in North Carolina that we needed to have affordable housing options in the Triangle. And so Morrisville, being such a central hub of innovation and technology, has to have a solution. So what would I propose to do that? Well, there are three things I would say. First of all, we have a plan, a 2009 plan, which we adopted. And that plan basically says that we're going to have a community servant program where we would allow affordable housing for first responders, police, veterans, and first responders. I want to thank Jim Simmons for his service to the country. I'm the son-in-law of veterans, both my mother-in-law and late father-in-law, and I do a lot of stuff for veterans. I serve on the NC Vet Business Association board, the first non-vet to do so in the state. And we need to build homes for veterans coming back from Afghanistan. So if we had initiatives like that in Morrisville, we could actually start building more affordable homes under that community servant program. The second thing I would say is that we need to be very creative and innovative with the remaining development opportunities in Morrisville. We've had some success on some recent rezonings where we've been able to get affordable housing investments. Our most recent one, we got about a $3.5 million affordable housing investment. So as Mayor Colley said, we need to make sure that we're pushing these developers or incentivizing them to give us more opportunity to do that. The final point I would make is investment from the town of Morrisville. This is going to take dollars and resources. So whether we create an affordable housing fund or we partner with Wake County, but Morrisville needs to have a seat at the table, being such a major driver of economic growth. So I hope if I'm reelected that I can continue to work with my colleagues to make sure that we really make this a priority. We have a world-class staff, and if we give Martha Page and Brandon Zudema and our administration the tasks that we want to have affordable housing, they will figure out a way for us to make it happen. But this is an economic issue. And the final thing is an inclusivity. One of our strategic goals is inclusivity, and we need to make sure that we're providing housing for everybody. Thank you.
Perfect. Great answers to everyone. I know we have the old saying, the $25,000 question. Well, this next question is worth a little bit more than $25,000. But where do you stand on the bonds? That'll be on the ballot in November. Are you in support? Why or why not?
Well, I support the bonds because, first of all, the bonds represent some very important core values in our strategic plan. We have a strategic plan in Morrisville. So any decision that I make is based on achieving the goals of those strategic plans. So one of those is a safe community, public safety. So I believe in investing in our fire station and some of these projects is critically important for the residents of Morrisville. The second is mobility. That's a major strategic goal. So investing in transportation, which, we had the success on the 2012 with the McCrimmon extension. We can now work on Airport Boulevard extension, sidewalk connectivity. That's very, very important. And parks. My goal for Morrisville is always to make us the best place to live, the best place to work, and the best place to play. But more open space, the Crabtree Nature Park, all of these things are so important. So I support the $37 million bond. I realize it comes with a price tag, a 3-cent tax increase, but this is a voter-approved bond. So we worked a lot to put this bond to the voters. And I think that it's something that we need to get behind because many of these projects are projects that we have vetted, projects on our CIP plan, which we review every year. And we need to make sure that we're continuing to invest in Morrisville to get us where we need to go.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, same question to you, the $37 million.
Yes, I fully support the bond. The funds from that bond will make Morrisville an even better place to live today and in the future.
Okay. All right. First of all, it's contradictory to attempt to both support affordable housing while raising property taxes. No, I do not support the bond referendum. Morrisville had a budget Morrisville's budget has grown 64% in the last 8 years. In 2014, Morrisville's budget was $26 million. It is now $42 million. And we've gone from 10 years ago, being a town with the largest budget surplus, to raising taxes while town hall was shut down and closed to the public. We didn't have fireworks 2 years in a row, services were reduced, and our taxes were increased. And that doesn't seem like it's good money management to me. The proposed changes in the Parks and Recreation Bond for Morrisville Community Park Phase 3 will bring havoc to my neighborhood. After putting a median in front of the main entrance at Kudrow Lane, this bond is suggesting we build tennis courts at the end of the road and end of Kudrow Lane, where there are beautiful, tall, established trees and a green, grassy lawn area. No one in the 3 neighborhoods adjacent to this property has asked for those trees to be cut down in order to fill them up with tennis courts for people who have to find their way to those courts past the right turn only entrance and the Millet Road entrance, where 236 homes and the residents all have to turn left onto a 4-lane state road. And at that intersection once had a child fatality. We were introducing more traffic to Kudrow Lane, and the residents who live there have not asked for tennis courts. We're with an easy commute, a few minutes away from tennis courts on Morrisville Parkway and in West Cary. The Crabtree Creek Nature Park is proposed to build on property that is Over 90% floodplain, folks. It's floodplain, and we no longer have a certified North Carolina professional engineer on the Planning and Zoning Board, or I'm not even sure there's one on town staff anymore, who have said that it's a good idea to build on floodplain. In fact, the Sierra Club has said building on floodplain means that you could be increasing flooding elsewhere, okay? So that's very questionable whether that's considered a good investment of our town funds. Besides the $3 million that we're asked to fund the extension of Airport Boulevard, which was not discussed in the 2018 transportation plan, and we don't know where the long line of cars picking up kids at Cedar Fork Elementary School will go. There's nothing that says what projects will be funded, what improvements will be made, and which intersections will be improved as part of this bond referendum. So the information that's provided to citizens is very loose, very little detail, and it's one page to explain $37 million of where our tax money will go. We have residents who are on fixed income, retired in my neighborhood, who really can't afford a $100 tax increase to their properties. And no, I really don't support such dramatic tax increases to make Morrisville a less affordable place to live without better detailed analysis regarding how these proposed projects will improve and benefit the lives of Morrisville citizens. If we had an experienced engineering project manager on Morrisville Town Council advocating for Morrisville citizens, I would have expected to see more than one page of information on how $37 million of our tax money would be used.
All right, thank you. This is a good question. Yes, I am in favor of the bond referendum to continue capital investment in our town. The reason why I'm in favor of the bond referendum is the choice is left up to the voters. That is the beauty of the bond referendum. If you do not agree with it, you can vote no. However, if you do agree with investing in our town, then you can vote yes. You can vote yes to invest for funds to improve the quality of life in Morrisville. There's funds, information, very in-depth information out there about the bond referendum that is available if you are interested in reading it. The bond referendum it is 3 separate questions, so you can vote yes on one of the questions and no on the others. You are not voting yes for $37 million. You do have a choice. The transportation bond is planned to help invest in widening Highway 54, which we desperately need. It's to invest in the Airport Boulevard extension. These are specific projects. Also, Crabtree Nature Park is something that our citizens have wanted. The beauty of the design of that park is it integrates the design with the floodplain. And yes, we do have a professional engineer on the staff of Town of Morrisville, and his name is Mark, and I'll probably mess up the last name, Spaninoli, and he has a PE and I believe civil engineering. There is also 2 engineers on the town council currently, myself and Satish Garamella. The beauty of being an engineer, if you're truly wanting to engineer the future, we problem solve. We look at how to solve problems. And that's what we do with engineering projects, is solve problems. So yes, I am definitely in favor of the town's bond referendum. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
I am in favor of the proposed bonds for the November 2nd ballot for public safety, for roads and transportation, and for our parks. Specifically to public safety, we are seeking a bond to help finish the third fire station for the town of Morrisville over in Harris Mill. It will be a similar station to station number 1, but they will also incorporate sustainability features. And we are going to be leaving the shared station in Cary, so there will only be 3 stations in Morrisville. This particular station will provide service to RTP and Wake County. They are providing a subsidy for that service, so that is not going to be paid for by Morrisville residents. So that is also helping. The RTP will be paying some funds to help with the capital improvement or actually the building of the fire station. So that also offsets some of our costs. We're asking the people of Morrisville to support our nationally accredited fire rescue, police, and public works departments through this bond so that we can keep our city strong and serve everyone in their time of need. And hopefully none of you are going to be those individuals that will need that service, but we will have it available. The second area is roads and the road network. NC 54 has been a challenge for a very long time, and we are looking to get additional funding to be able to successfully bid on matching funds. We have a CAMPA organization that provides the funding for our state roads. NC 54 is a state road, but because the NCDOT does not have enough funding, they're slowing the rate of projects across the county and the region. We have to put in more money to get our roads done. So we need more capital money, and that is part of the bond. We also want to do intersection improvements to increase our mobility and have some options in case we find that after, let's say, the Morrisville Carpenter Road is improved, there needs to be additional improvements, and we will have that flexibility to work through those issues. The third area is parks. And I don't have to remind any of you that Morrisville is about 8 square miles, and we are nearing build out, and there's very few parcels of available land for schools. And there's probably not very much available land for parks either. If we want to save trees, if we want to have green space, we're going to have to buy a lot of land, and we need more parks for the population that we have. So we seek your support in allowing us to do some purchases from the funds of that bond so that we can enjoy the parks in our town for generations to come. Thank you.
So when you get to the end, there's a lot that's been said. So I'll try to add some new data and information to this topic because this is critically important. To put it in perspective, the bonds, these 3 questions on the ballot will total $37 million. The town of Morrisville's annual budget is only $42 million. It would be nearly impossible to fund even half of these projects through our annual budget, no less a quarter of these projects. Bond money, and the reason projects are put out there to vote to the public is number 1, to make sure that the public is okay with our tax increase that will come with this. We've heard about the 3-cent tax increase. But it's also to ensure that these are the projects that the public wants, and this is an investment that we're asking them to make. The bond, actually to fund this bond would take more than 3 cents. We've been fiscally responsible and made sure that we have capacity in our budget to cover the rest of the tax increase that would be associated So it is only 3 cents instead of maybe 6 cents, what it may have to be, but we have factored in and are financially prepared to be able to handle the rest. When we go out to fund these big projects, and these are big projects that are on this bond, if we go out to fund them and borrow money through other means, it will cost more to the taxpayers of the town of Morrisville. Borrowing money through bonds is the cheapest way for us to borrow money. It is also the fastest way for us to get these projects built. So those are really important factors to remember as you're making the decision. The other thing is this 3 cent tax increase equates to a home that's valued at $350,000. That equates to $105 annually a year. And to Patty's point, that's not insignificant to a lot of people. I understand that. And that's why this is a question for the public to think about and to really balance the investment in our community and these projects with that dollar amount that it will affect you and your home. I will say this, and I have not, for the first time, this is the third bond referendum that I've been a part of here as an elected official in the town of Morrisville. And this is the first time that I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if they're all going to pass. I was very confident the last 2 times. I would ask the public to seriously think about the public safety bond. That one is critically important for response time and for the location of our new fire station, because the fire station on 54 will be severely impacted with the widening of 54 that's coming. So I would ask you to please seriously consider the public safety bond. The other 2, I too would support and do support. I support all 3. The other 2 with the parks and open space and the road and sidewalks, I do support those as well. But I ask you to please do your homework. Look carefully at those projects. It is up to you to decide if you want those projects sooner than later. That really is the question at heart right now. And will come with, for a $350,000 home, $105 increase in your tax this year. And I think those are probably the only things I can add to this conversation so far.
Perfect. Well, we'll correct that with you being at the end on this next question. You'll be second.
I'm sorry. I didn't
I'm
hear.
sorry. I said we'll correct you being at the end on this next question. You'll be second.
Okay.
Same question, Jim.
All right, thank you very much. I 100% wholeheartedly support this bond referendum. The reason being, the reason that I decided to run was because I wanted Morrisville to focus on the infrastructure of our town to ensure that we have smart growth incommensurate with the rapid growth of overdevelopment. This is a passionate project of mine, and it's the reason I decided to run. So I ask you all to look at the voting records of the town council who put us into this situation. 4 apartment complexes were voted for in the past 2 years. Where our roads are overcrowded, so now we're going to fix the roads. Our fire department is overworked, so we're going to increase the fire department. These are issues that came up because of the votes for overdevelopment of our town. We don't need these, we have to have these. And that's why I decided to run, because of the constant votes for overdevelopment. So look at the voting records of the town council members who accepted the constant overdevelopment, constant building of apartment complexes all over our town, and why those resources are desperately needed now today. So that's why I wholeheartedly support this, because we need to focus on the infrastructure before we focus on the development and the overdevelopment. Because this overdevelopment puts a strain on our infrastructure and our resources. Thank you.
All right, Jim, we'll stay here with you for this next question. This year has been a great year as far as job announcements concerned. Apple, great announcement. Seems like every time we turn around, there's another announcement, which is great for the town. But how do we stay competitive? How do we make sure that we continue to have these announcements and bring more jobs to the town?
Thank you very much. Yes, jobs are always important because jobs represent growth. And as we've seen over the last year, jobs have been coming to Morrisville or in all of Wake County. That's why Wake County's been growing as fast. We stay competitive by enticing small business owners to want to build in our community. We bring the jobs because, again, Apple's going to bring a lot of jobs, but they don't just work at Apple. They will shop locally. They will play locally. They will live locally. That's how we ensure job growth in our town, to encourage and entice small business owners, bringing them amenities that encourage people to stay and work at Apple, work at Cisco, work at Biogen, work at all these companies that are coming to Morrisville. We need to entice them by encouraging small business owners and growing that workforce. That brings more jobs to Morrisville.
So I'm not sure we have to worry about being competitive, quite frankly. I think our location is a blessing when it comes to the growth that we see here in the triangle. Morrisville is smack dab in the middle of the triangle. We are the heart of the triangle. Everyone wants to be here, wants to work here, wants to live here, wants to eat here, wants to shop here. I'm not sure we have to worry about being competitive. What I do worry about is that we are nimble and flexible when it comes to the jobs that are out there. And we have seen that recently with the shift. We have been known as a first-class office location. We have Class A office space over, and you saw it when you came here tonight. You drove through some of the finest office buildings that we have here in the Triangle. We have always been known for that, but it has become very apparent in recent years that there is a shift. And there is a shift to biopharma, to the pharmaceutical industry, to biomanufacturing, and we need to be nimble, have our ear to the ground, and be ready to shift to accept those types of jobs that are coming here to the Triangle and be on the forefront so that folks know that this is the place to be. The place to be for a job location is here in the town of Morrisville. I will say this, I do worry also, I just told you our location makes us very competitive, but I do worry about our relationship with the community that is looking to come here to the Triangle. It is very important that we at the town of Morrisville, if we are interested in securing these jobs and these first-class jobs, is that we are known as a community that is open to listening, we are open to having the conversations to make these jobs, to allow these jobs to come here to the town of Morrisville. And that relationship also extends to our Morrisville Chamber of Commerce, who helps us with our economic development efforts. It has always been critically important to me that the town of Morrisville and the Chamber have a very good working relationship. We don't always agree, and over time, we have disagreed on many things, but we have always had a very good relationship, and that is important. So that relationship is important. Our location is always going to be ideal, and it's just that we need to be nimble and flexible and shift to the changes in the job market that's out there.
Morrisville is very, very lucky. We have a highly educated workforce, and we continue to value education in our town. I would say strong schools are one of the success factors in our town, and we need to continue to promote Wake Tech and all of the course offerings for both vocational as well as professional education. We also need to support Wake County Public Schools because the education is valued by our residents as well. Having an educated workforce allows for employers to have confidence to come to our town so that they can be successful. And that success will bring other complementary companies. Diversity in our companies, diversity in our workforce will help strengthen Morrisville and make it stronger in the future. I do agree with Mayor Pro Tem Johnson's point about making sure that we're flexible and nimble. We are a small town, so that does allow us to have more flexibility and more discussion with our employment employers. The chamber is our economic development arm. We actually partner with them. We pay for a service. So that is something that is very important to the town. And they really work hard. They have brought us some amazing projects, and we are so fortunate for that. They not only work for Morrisville, but they coordinate with Wake County and the state. And because of that hard work, we are where we are today. So we are very thankful for our business community and that partnership. But we all need to work together with you to make sure our town remains strong. So my number one, thought about how we remain strong is through education. Thank you.
I agree with everything that has been said so far. We are very fortunate in our location, being smack dab right up against RTP and being a stone's throw away from RDU. We are literally the heart of the triangle. I do think there are things that we can do to stay competitive with jobs. And a couple of those things are continuing to invest in our town with the infrastructure. We need to continue investing in our roads. Companies aren't going to want to come here if we are consistently having traffic jams at the intersection of Morrisville Carpenter and Highway 54. So we need to invest in our roads and other infrastructure. We also want to invest in our town to maintain our quality of life, to make sure our town is a desirable place to live and work and play. We do have Perimeter Park, and that is a draw to our town. And like Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Scroggins Johnson have said, is remaining nimble. And what that looks like and what the town council has done most recently is we've had a couple of rezonings come before the council for the Stitch and for the previous Sam's Club, where the developer wanted us to rezone from just offices to offices and lab space because of, how the shift in work dynamic has been occurring in COVID. So I think there are some things we can still do. We are in a very desirable area, and companies are going to keep coming. We also just need to continue our relationship with the chamber, continue working with Wake County in bringing those employers and jobs to Morrisville. Thank you. There you go.
So I agree with Liz Johnson on this question about the proximity of Morrisville being at the heart of the Research Triangle Park, that we don't really have to worry much about being competitive in terms of jobs. What we need to be more concerned about is being competitive in terms of housing and keeping people in Morrisville rather than it being a temporary location before they move to their more permanent house. Morrisville currently has a higher property rate than Cary, the mill rate. In order to stay competitive, we should try and gradually reduce our rate to align with Cary's. That'll keep residents staying in Morrisville engaged longer in the Morrisville community to better our community. Morrisville needs to ensure that the town sets a positive environment for small businesses and avoid restrictions limiting small businesses so they can be successful operating in Morrisville. And I wanted to make a comment about what Donna Fender said earlier. We may have hired an engineer serving on town staff, but we do not have an engineer who signed off on this park that's to be built in the floodplain. And no Morrisville resident who is a professional engineer has endorsed that project. All right, sorry.
So thank you. Our location is a great asset. The fact that there's so much talent in the area, that's what's bringing businesses to our area. So the best thing that we can do after that is to be a great place to live and raise a family. So if reelected as mayor, I will continue the momentum that we have built in the last 4 years based on the strategic plan that we adopted as one of my first actions as mayor. That has resulted in being named by Money Magazine as the very best place to live in North Carolina and a designation of All America City by the National Civic League. These recognitions are a result of policy choices and hard work. And being the best is what attracts people and jobs to our town. As your full-time mayor, I will continue to ensure that Morrisville aligns our decisions and funding with the goals identified in our strategic plan, and this will preserve and enhance the quality of life that attracts employees and residents to our town. I will keep focused on representing the expressed desire of our residents to manage our growth in a responsible manner by being more selective about where we add density, so that we can continue the excellent progress we have made these past 4 years to address the infrastructure deficiencies that I inherited in 2013. Our progress has been exceptional, but our residents are disappointed by the rezoning approvals, which I did not support, votes which keep digging the hole deeper as I try to provide adequate infrastructure for our current residents, to say nothing about future residents. Thank you.
Councilman Barone, you have the last jobs and how we stay competitive in Morrisville.
Okay. First of all, if you go to steverao.com, I have developed a series of plays. I call it the Morrisville Playbook, and I have a jobs playbook on my website. So I encourage everyone to go read it. I think there's 2 basic ideas I have as part of my economic development plan to make sure that we're competitive to grow jobs. The first is something that I've had a lot of passion in my first decade, in my decade of service to the town, and that's in startups. How do we harness and leverage our startup community? First of all, I'm very proud of the work that we did with Hotivation, and I hope we can bring that program back. And that was a Morrisville Chamber Innovation Program where we actually developed startups and entrepreneurs. So I think we need to continue to do that with Wake Tech launch. I see in the audience one of my good friends, Mark Easley, who is actually a leader in North Carolina in crowdfunding. And I've hosted a number of startup summits. Recently, we had our first in-person one at RTP headquarters, and Mark and I and Will McGuire have been talking about crowdfunding as a way to support our entrepreneurs through funding and infrastructure. So I think if Morrisville can develop a good crowdfunding program, we can help a lot of our small businesses and entrepreneurs. The second component is, new jobs, the new economy. I think the greatest asset that we have is our community college system. And Dr. Rawls and Wake Tech RTP are doing an incredible job to harness job creation and skill training in areas like AI, robotics, cybersecurity, robotic process automation. When the CEO of Infosys came 2 years ago, we were there with Senator Chaudhary and Governor Cooper and all the elected officials. Salil Parikh, the CEO, said that almost every job that is being created in North Carolina for the Infosys Global Hub is a job that doesn't exist today. And they're working with Wake Tech to create those jobs. That is a huge opportunity for the town of Morrisville. The final thing that I would do, I would say, so I think we have to continue to focus on the point of infrastructure. I want to take a moment to disagree with my opponent on the statement he made that we just approve apartments. I totally understand the frustration of apartments and density. And I want the citizens of Morrisville to know that I hear you and that we actually approved a land use plan unanimously, which reduced density near residential areas and provide for open space. But some of the developments we did approve invested in infrastructure, $1 million of road funding, $800,000 in our parks, $3.5 million of affordable housing, $15,000 of intersections. All of these are infrastructures that we can leverage while we actually slow down future development so that we're not overdeveloping rapid development. So stopping development is one option. Rapid development is another option. I think balanced growth is something in the middle where we have an impact. So that's what I would do. And the final point I would make is sales skills. So I'm very passionate about being the ambassador of Morrisville. So when we brought Invitae in, I actually worked to bring folks there to look at the mall, buy the mall. So I'm always out there looking for those opportunities to make sure that I, as a team member of this council, with each of us, is selling Morrisville as the place for jobs.
All right, perfect. I have about 2 more questions. I think we have time for about 2 more if we get through somewhere like that. I'll look to you, Bree, to keep me straight on time. But I want to talk about relationships and building relationships, not only with fellow council members, but also with the community and all stakeholders. So how do you, or will you, establish strong relationships to represent all stakeholders?
Well, I love developing relationships. I think that's something that I really enjoy, collaboration. And one thing that I always try to do is communicate daily, regularly with my council members. There's not a person on my council that I don't talk to every day, at least most of them every day, to learn their perspective. Even if they have a different opinion, I like to listen to them and arrive at consensus on how we can move forward. So collaborative consensus building relationships is really important. We need to develop those kind of relationships with small businesses as well. So they're major stakeholders. And I think with the American Rescue Plan money the town of Morrisville is getting, we're getting about 8 million. This year, we're going to get 4 million of that. Part of that is about 1.4 million will go to small business recovery. Part of the money will go to small business recovery. And I think we need to have somebody in the town that's actually reaching out to businesses, making sure they're okay, developing those relationships. So in a post-COVID world, a post-pandemic world, we're helping these businesses get back to where they were before. The final point I would make is extending relationships to the General Assembly, which each and every one of us do on the council. Working to develop relationships at the cabinet level. And I've personally done that in the last few years where we developed, even though I'm a Democrat, I worked with the Corey administration to bring Secretary Tata, Secretary Tennyson. We've hosted visits with David Price and other leaders so that we can bring them here to explore the kinds of things we can be doing in Morrisville. So if I'm reelected, one of the first things I'm going to do is reach out to Secretary Boyette from the DOT to bring them to Morrisville to look at the traffic and the congestion and see what can we do to get more shovel-ready projects, what can we do to advance more of our projects. But none of that happens if we don't have relationships. None of that happens if you don't have council members that have those relationships today. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm running, is because I love to develop relationships on this job, and that's what I would do in my 4th term.
Mr. Mayor, same question.
Thank you very much. I engage with Morrisville residents and business leaders and strive to maintain the trust and support of those who elected me to serve. I have broad support from elected officials across the triangle, including Congressman David Price, Congresswoman Deborah Ross, and many others at all levels of government. I have been or expect to be endorsed by several organizations as well. Above all, I expect increased support from the voters of Morrisville based on our record of success while I've been mayor. I strive to make personal contact with as many people in Morrisville as I can, in our stores, in our parks, playing disc golf, at events, and even at your door. And I listen to what you tell me. Not only do I listen, I encourage you to share what you would like us to be doing better or differently as we move forward. We have a little over 200 staff and 7 council members. I know that the 30,000 residents here in Morrisville know what they would like us to do with their tax dollars. I want to hear from each of them as often as possible. Their suggestions and ideas are why I am here in front of you today. I am your neighbor, who also happens to be your mayor, and I want the same thing that each of you want: a place to safely raise my family with access to meaningful employment, good schools, nearby parks and recreational amenities, and opportunities to serve others. Thank you.
So to work well with the community and build relationships, I would meet with communities in different areas of Morrisville to learn what their concerns are and to obtain voter feedback. And I would maintain an open door policy and attempt to hold office hours for residents who have concerns that they want to share. I would especially look for input and feedback from communities and business owners that might be affected by specific projects being proposed. For example, there are a number of businesses along Airport Boulevard that was surprised to learn that Airport Boulevard was proposed to be extended. And there wasn't a lot of detail about those gas stations that probably have to be taken over by eminent domain in order to build that crossover on the railroad tracks there. So there's just a lot of, it really is a bridge overpass. You need to have connectors from the road underneath to connect to the bridge overpass. So there's a lot of concerns that need to be taken into consideration to know what the impact is for these projects involved that are changing the lives of local residents. And I will look for the input from citizens before pushing forward projects that could have somewhat detrimental effects if these concerns are not addressed in advance.
All right, thank you for this question. This job is all about relationships. That's what we do, is listen to the residents, the business leaders, and developers, each other, and our town staff. So you can't get out of this by being a total introvert all the time. But I think it's very important to listen to all our residents and all our individuals in the community and make decisions based on what is positive for all town residents, not one particular subdivision or what's best for a developer. I think for too long, our town has had better relationships with our developers than with our town's residents. I think this was very evident in a recent rezoning meeting for 0 Slater Road for the apartments that were asked to be rezoned by Duke Realty. The town attorney for Duke Realty felt so entitled and knew he had the decision in the bag that when I asked him a question about his zoning application, he told me that he did not like my tone. That's pretty awful that a petitioner to the town council asking for a rezoning, is that disrespectful to a town council member? And I think for too long, developers, specifically apartment developers, have had free reign in our town. And that's where we need to build a relationship back up with our residents. When hundreds of residents type in their response of what they want through our portal for the land use plan, that they want more parks and green space, they want less apartments and townhomes, we need to actually listen to them. And so that is where I would like to see our town head, improve our relationships with our residents. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. That is an excellent question. We have multiple stakeholders in our town. We have our residents, we have our business owners, we have other governments that have invested in our town. Wake County has parks in Morrisville, and the state has also invested. So it's been very challenging to maintain relationships with everyone during COVID. We were all told to stay home. We were all looking for a central source for a voice. And it seems like without newspapers or other ways to communicate face to face, we got a little lost. We strayed a little bit. So in the future, I would look to reestablish those relationships and build them even stronger through a listening tour. We could bring some of our state and county officials to the town hall for town hall discussions and help them understand the needs of Morrisville as it exists today. We do have a gap in our support of small businesses. Small businesses really are the heart of every town, and we want to inspire them to stay and innovate and build their business with us. So we need to nurture that relationship, and especially now as they struggle to move forward with the pandemic. Our larger businesses also need attention as well. They are struggling with large offices that have empty desks. The way that they work is different. We want them to stay in Morrisville as they have to rethink how they're using their space. I believe that communication is two ways. We have to make sure that the information that we share with our stakeholders is accurate. We should not be sharing rumors. We should not be speculating about whether something is going to be removed through eminent domain or not. We have to make sure that we are clear on what we know today, what the possibility is in the future for plans, but specifics, if they're not known, we should not be the propagators of rumors. I really do look forward to seeing everybody without masks again so that I can see your smiling faces and you can see mine. But relationships are two ways, and I look forward to building them in the future. Thank you.
So this is a great question because relationships are the key and the heart to everything. In your professional life, in your personal life, relationships matter. I raised two girls and I made sure that they understood that. It's very important to have healthy, successful, and respectful relationships, whether, again, in your professional life or in your private life. At the beginning of the night, I told you that I have three core values that guide me in the work that I do as an elected official. I told you they were trust, transparency, and truth. I always will tell you the truth, so you can trust the relationship that we have as an elected official and a resident in the town of Morrisville. I will never and have never told one neighborhood one thing and another neighborhood something different. I have not, and I never will stand on your front porch during a campaign and tell you that I believe in one thing, but I will not publicly say it because it will cost me. That truth is incredibly important to me. Transparency is equally as important. I will not, and I have never told you partial information for important issues that we've talked about. I will share with you, and I have always shared with you, all the facts so that you yourself can make the decision on how you feel about that issue. I do not try to sway you. I will not, and I never have. And then that trust is what builds the relationship that is incredibly important in all the work we do. You can trust me when I tell you something. It is critically important that we have that relationship as elected official and resident. It is critically important that we have that relationship in council as we work together to this teamwork that needs to be successful for you all and what you want to accomplish here and what we all want to accomplish here in town. And then the third piece between council and our staff. It is critically important that we have a successful, trusting relationship between council and staff. And I will tell you that has not always been the case. And that is why I am running for the town of Morrisville to be your mayor on November 2nd.
Wow, that was powerful. Sometimes I disagree with Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, but I respect her a lot. And that is one thing. I've spoken with every town council member that we have in Morrisville. I've disagreed with every town council member we have in Morrisville, but that doesn't mean we can't respect each other. And that's how you build relationships, by telling the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's the truth. No ulterior motives, no hidden agendas. If you don't believe in something, you should stand up to your convictions and tell people why you don't believe in that, and afford people the opportunity to explain to you their side. A lot of times, a relationship building, it's keeping your mouth shut and your ears open, listening to the people that matter most. That's basically how I've lived my life. As the tenets of the Marine Corps has taught me: honor, courage, and commitment. The honor to stand up for your convictions, the courage to explain the differences in your opinions, and the commitment to the people that you're supposed to serve. And that is exactly how I build relationships with people, listening to them and explain to them my positions and why I believe my convictions and my beliefs. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Great answers. It's been a great discussion tonight. So we will wrap up. It's the only time I will stick to a time limit because we do have to get out of here. 1 minute closing statement.
I want to thank everyone here that has come out. The Chamber of Commerce for hosting this, Zeta Phi Beta sorority for bringing people together. And that's what we need to do as elected officials, is to bring people together. And during times of COVID, it's hard to do that, but we have to find every opportunity, be safe, social distance, wear a mask. We can still be a society, a group of people that come together for a common goal. My belief is that the town council's common goal should be to serve the people they represent, to listen to the people that they represent. Focus on Morrisville, make Morrisville, keep Morrisville a top 10 city so that we can continue to grow and thrive, live and play as a community. That's why I'd like to be on the town council, to take part in this great organization. These great people that sit in front of me here, I want to be a part of that. They have done a great job escalating Morrisville to top 10, and I'd like to be a part of that and keep it as a top 10. Thank you very much. Come out to vote on November 2nd, early vote on the 23rd. Vote for me, please, to allow me to help you continue to grow as a town. Thank you.
Perfect. Right at 1 minute. 1 minute, Madam
1
Mayor.
minute? Okay, so it has truly been an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of Morrisville. Those are not just words to me. They mean something to me. They mean something deeply to me. I've spent 22 years serving this community. Every time I choose to run, I stop and think, am I doing a good job? Am I still making a difference? Can I still help the citizens of Morrisville? And if the answer is yes, then I run. I'm running for mayor because I think I can fulfill all of that for each and every one of you. I strive every day to be a representative to all in Morrisville. I am an unaffiliated voter. I am a lifelong unaffiliated voter, not unlike almost 50% of the registered voters of this town. I do not have a party that I favor. I do not have a political position that I favor. I'm here to answer to the residents of Morrisville and the residents of Morrisville only. I am incredibly proud of the culture that I have helped create here in the town of Morrisville that makes us the most welcoming, diverse, and inclusive small town in North Carolina. That did not happen by chance, that happened by choice. I want to make sure that you all feel welcome and included in all the policy decisions we make and in all the decisions we make as a council. I also want to continue to keep Morrisville the best place to live, work, play, and raise a family. And I respectfully ask you to vote for me, Liz Johnson, on November 2nd to be your Morrisville mayor.
She did in a minute. Oh, my goodness. Well, it has been an honor to be here. For those of you that are watching on Zoom, I hope that you got my good side and everyone else's good side. But thank you to everybody in the audience as well. It truly is a wonderful town. I am Morrisville's biggest fan. We have so much talent and beauty and experience and vision. The town council has worked very hard, making hard decisions. And we have, for the record, we have the second lowest tax rate in the town, in the county. And with the bond, with the 3 cents proposed, we will remain the second lowest tax rate in the county. We will be tied with Apex for the second lowest, but we will remain the second lowest because all of the town council, including myself, we have been diligently working on being good stewards for your taxes and your investment in our town. It is an amazing community. We just had a national night out, and every different neighborhood did something different, but it was spectacular. We are so proud to be in this town, and I am proud to serve on the Morrisville Town Council. I would be very honored to continue to serve and to grow our town to a very welcoming and diverse, amazing cricket. No, sorry, I love cricket. But if you vote for me, I will work as hard as I have the past 8 years and continue to advocate for Morrisville. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for hosting us. This has been fun. Yes, I am running unopposed, but I made the decision to be here tonight because the issues are very important, and how you vote this election will determine what our town looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And I will say the same thing that I said 2 years ago. We cannot let the town's growth destroy the very things that we love about Morrisville. We need to have smart growth. You can still have growth, you can still have development without having high-density residential. There are other types of development out there besides apartments. There's office and lab space, and there's retail. So we can still have investment in our town and increase our tax base without adding additional burden to our roads and schools. And lastly, what was I going to say? Has been alluded to, we are constrained on all sides. We can't be like Cary and just keep going further and further west. We do not have that option. We cannot create land where none exists. So we have to be smart about how we develop the rest of our town. Thank you.
I actually agree with something Donna said about smart growth. Smart growth to me does not mean you cut down the trees and pave over a green grass area to put in put in tennis courts at every opportunity. I mean, there's not many spots where we have open grass area in order to put in tennis courts. That doesn't mean you should give up all the green grass and the tree areas that we do have. I'm Patty Chang. I will advocate for working class citizens of Morrisville, for Morrisville residents and businesses. Morrisville's budget has increased 64% in the last 8 years, and I will make sure your tax dollars are being well managed. My goal is to keep Morrisville an affordable place to live for everyone by working to keep our tax rate low, and we need someone on town council advocating for Morrisville residents who will rein in excessive spending. Morrisville Town Council needs a new voice with a fresh perspective. I would ask the hard questions to ensure that our tax dollars are well spent on projects that are sound and well vetted. And if town council had taken the effort to have a sketch of the Airport Boulevard overpass, it would be pretty obvious that the connector roads from NC 54 would have to go through the area where the gas stations currently exist. Okay? So those type of things need to take into consideration. I'm Patty Chang. My website is patty4morrisville.com. And I will see to it that we have positive change and ensure that your tax funds are being well spent.
In the past 4 years, since the residents chose me as their mayor, the town of Morrisville has evolved from a place with leadership who says the right things to an innovative, motivated, and empowered team who actually does the right things. The results have been amazing. We are the 10th best place to live in all of America. Just think about that for a minute. There's 19,000 towns and cities in the United States. We're number 10. We heeded the wake-up call from our 2018 Parks and Rec Master Plan, and we are being proactive, thoughtful, and aggressive in securing the land necessary to meet our residents' need now and in the future for new parks, recreation, and open space. We have finally found a collaborative, trusted local partner who shares our vision for a vibrant, walkable town center destination, which will be the heart of the triangle. We've strengthened relationships with Wake County Public Schools and our Wake County Commissioners to bring new schools to Morrisville and improve public health and safety. These past 4 years have demonstrated how a town can flourish with a strong, bold, collaborative, experienced, thoughtful leader who is a proven public servant and a full-time mayor. We have accomplished more in the past 4 years than in the previous 16, and for that, I am very proud. I don't think any of us can imagine anything as challenging as guiding a town and helping to guide the mayors of the largest county in North Carolina through the worst pandemic in a century. If you seek to have a proven leader safeguarding the health and safety of your family and preserving your quality of life, you need look no further. I have led and continue to lead our town through the most dangerous health crisis in our lifetimes and helped our town and its exceptional residents come out on the other side stronger, more supportive of each other, and more resilient than ever. I listen, I'm passionate, and I get things done. Talk is cheap. Actions and results speak louder than words. I'm Mayor TJ Cawley, and I would appreciate your support and your vote November 2nd. A member of Team TJ is there by the door. If you want to grab a sign on your way out to show how proud you are to live in the 10th best place in America, please grab a sign and put it in your lawn. Thank you.
Bring us home 1 minute.
First of all, I want to thank my mom and dad who are here today. It takes a lot of family sacrifice to support me. I never thought I would be in politics or government. And I want to thank my wife, Komal, who's at home, and my children, Sonia and Ryan, and my mother-in-law and late father-in-law for their support. And it's been one of the greatest decades of my life to lead a city where I can have a banh mi, a samosa, and a pulled pork, where East truly can meet West. And that's the beauty of Morrisville, that we can do it right here. I could take a smart shuttle, on-demand transportation with an app, and I can go watch cricket in Church Street Park. My son is taking it to go play tennis now and go to the MAFC to lift weights. How great is that? It's taken us work to get there. Investments in our transportation that we've made, investment in our parks, continued discussions of balanced growth. If elected to a fourth term, I will do my best to have a more balanced growth approach, where we can slow down some of the density and make sure that we abide by the land use plan which you've adopted, which would allow us to have residential development, single family, maybe more open space and greenways. I secondly want to fight for more schools. I hope we can fight for a new middle school and high school with the 44 acres which Wake County School Board purchased near RTP, and we could work with the Wake Tech for an early career high school. And the third is I want to make Morrisville the most digitally technology advanced city in the state and nation. And with our Smart City Advisory Board, I know we can do that with sensors and technologies to create the jobs of the new economy. I don't do everything right, but every day in this job the last 10 years, I have tried to exceed the expectations on communication with my digital newsletter to thousands and thousands of citizens of Morrisville and across the region. I've worked hard to collaborate with each and every one of you and my colleagues, and I continue to work to innovate. So if elected for a fourth term, I will continue to collaborate, communicate, innovate, bring you my best. I thank you for letting me be a part of your team and hope you give me a chance to serve 4 more years and lead the all-America city of Morrisville. And let's get to number 1, prepare the cabin for liftoff. I'm ready to fly high. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you, Steve. I want to thank you all for being here tonight and for this great conversation and this great discussion. As a former elected official, I want to commend you on the courage that it takes to step out front and to make change and to be out front and be in the forefront of that change and do it for a better city. So we thank you all. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Bree. Thank you, Chamber. You all are great. And I think I have to pass this off. Also want to thank Zeta Phi Beta for hosting tonight. I am a Sigma, so my sisters, thank y'all.
All right.
Thank you all candidates. We greatly appreciate and respect your desire to serve this incredible community. To say a few words about the bond referendum, I'd like to invite the chair-elect of the Chamber Board of Directors and the chair of our Government Affairs Committee, Emily Ziegler.
Hi, good evening. Thanks to all of you joining on Zoom. Thanks to all of you who are here today. I want to say thank you to the candidates. We appreciate all of you. Clearly, I got the pink memo from the councilwomen's here, so we're on the same boat. But you all have already heard a lot about the bond tonight. This is critically important to the town of Morrisville. We are a top 10 place to live in the country. That says a lot about where we are. But in order to maintain that, we need to continue to improve and enhance our local quality of life. And the best way to do it is by passing this bond. The bond will address public safety, street sidewalks and connectivity, as well as parks, recreation, and open space. So I do hope you will all join me in voting yes for the bond on November 2nd. We do have some informational materials. I hope you will grab some on your way out. If you don't have those, or if we've run out, please don't hesitate to contact a member of the chamber staff. You can also reach out to the town. They have set up a website for the bond. It's townofmorrisville.org/MSV bond 2021. And there also is an email address using that same information that you can ask questions. But we do need your support for this. We have yard signs here. We hope you will take some, share them with your neighbors and your friends. Help us post on social media, on your next door group, why this is so critically important to our community. We need to continue to make Morrisville the best place to live, and we need your help to do that. If you have questions about the bond, if you would like to talk more about it, you want to help the effort, please feel free to find me after the program, or for those of you on Zoom, reach out to Linda or Bree at the chamber, and we will help make that happen. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate you being here in Morrisville. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Linda.
Thank you again, and thank you, Ray, for moderating. Folks, we hope that tonight you gained the information that you need to make informed decisions on the ballot. And thank you so much for taking the time to learn and educate yourselves before you go to the polls. Thank you so much, and please do vote.